Hello, today I'm going for a walk and I'm going to do a 5k walk around Croydon. Sometimes I go through parks and woods, and other times I like to go through the busier parts and be around people. But if you're not feeling like running or you're going through an injury, maybe a walk is a better way, if it's available to you, to cover some distance and to be mindful at the same time. And even if running isn't available to you, a good walk can still be a great way to get out of your head and to feel present in the moment that you have available to you. And it could be listening to music, talk radio, favourite playlist, or a walking meditation, podcast even. So lots of things you can listen to, or you could just not have any noise and just listen to the sounds around you, whether that's traffic, trains, people, birds, whatever it happens to be. So if I'm in a mood for solitude, then that's when I would probably use the parks and woods in my area. And this route I'm going to go on today is actually a combination of fairly quiet places and then ends up very busy in Croydon town centre. I like that. So just walking from here, from South Croydon, sort of taking the back roads or the back lane. Not quite sure what this is called, but it's a bridge anyway over the track, and then it goes between houses. I like this, and you can kind of sort of have a little peek over the bridge and just imagine where that train goes, if it's going in that direction or where it's going in that direction, and all the people that might be travelling around. So when I do go out on my walks, I do just let my mind wander and be inquisitive and interested in what's going on. And once you get into a kind of flow with walking or running, I find that the unconscious mind can pull up all sorts of little hidden gems, and quite often it will sort of spark a really good idea and something I want to do later. So rather than forget it, I normally just pull out my phone and use a voice note and attach that to a timer. So I'll actually ask the phone to remind me at XYZ time to action this thing I've just thought about. And that could be writing something down or booking something in or whatever it happens to be, but just setting a reminder to do it at a time when I know I'm going to be available to do it. And if that reminder goes off when I'm not available, I can just reschedule it for a time that is appropriate. So I'm just carrying on down these lanes now, and then even these little things here, these little roads that stay public highways but kind of interrupt buildings, and probably because of some bylaw have to stay there. I find these really interesting, and they're all over the country in different places, probably more so out of London than in London, but I'm sure some of you would have seen these. And sometimes it's around the back of houses, sometimes in between them. This is in between a combination of old buildings and new build. And I've not used the whole of this path, so when I get to the end of this bit I'm going to turn left, but it does actually carry on. So on another day, on another walk, I'm going to go further and see where it does end up. I've been meaning to do that for a while, but just looking back at the video, I've remembered that I want to do that, so perhaps I'll set a little voice note to do that. But this is a really nice sunny day, really cold, And sometimes just getting out, again, regardless of weather, I always say it, so there's no such thing as bad weather, just weather. And if you wear the appropriate clothing, you'll be prepared. So I like to not give myself any excuses not to get out. Shadow looks kind of weird there. Looks like I'm on stilts. Some of the routes I use walking around are the same, and if you're kind of running or walking a similar route, I think that helps the mind become more meditative, so almost in a hypnotic state, because you're already on autopilot. You know the route, you're just travelling, and you can find that you'll know when that's happening, because you'll suddenly sort of come to and wonder where half of that route had gone. Like, can't remember travelling that road today. So the roads that you know you've done, and I used to get this a lot when I was running. I used to run back in the day. I used to run a 10k once a week when I was much younger and fitter. And often I'd be in this really pleasant hypnotic state, and I'd be maybe 2/3 across my route and just couldn't remember portions of it. And it's only when I kind of read later on that that's quite common. But during those times, my mind would kind of clear problems or come up with ideas to solve problems, and sometimes just come up with ideas to solve things I never even knew needed solving. It's a really empowering state of mind to be in. And wherever you live, I'm sure you can find a nice route that you can travel that you like. And if you can't, maybe there's a nice route, a short bus ride away. And if you like cycling, I've mentioned before, but cycling's a great way to get further for the same amount of time. So you can probably quite comfortably, without rushing, travel about 4 times the distance on a bike for the same time that you would allow yourself some outdoor activity. It's starting to get a bit busier here, so I'm going to cross a busy road, but then it stays quiet again for a while. So I can do this route in reverse, but I do it this way round if I want a more peaceful start and maybe a faster paced walk at the beginning, and then I can kind of be among people and people watch towards the end of my walk. But generally I'm not thinking about too much now. I'm just sort of walking and enjoying it and letting the blood flow, getting the breathing, the breath work going. Those little paths I was on earlier, that little lane between the buildings, I forgot to mention there was a no cycling sign there, and I was thinking as I was walking up there that, well, that'd be a nice little quiet ride, but you've got to be careful not to cycle in the wrong places. Although I'll talk about this more on my next bike ride, but I was going to kind of highlight how great cycling is in terms of travelling around London for free. And obviously walking's still free and cycling's still free for now. But with the influx of the cost of either public transport or driving, I think it's really good that we can still kind of move around London for free on a bike. And I hope that continues in my lifetime, I really do. because the cost of driving is so much, whether it's congestion charge or ULEZ if your car's not compatible, road tax, and for work I've got an electric car which I've had for 2 years now. It's on a 3-year lease, but the cost of running that has gone through the roof since I got it. So not on here just to have a moan, but just to kind of highlight things like road tax being zero when I first got the lease, and road tax is now out of the blue £195 on that free electric car, and also pay by mile is coming in, and if you use it for work I could be doing anything between 10,000 and 20,000 miles a year. So at 3p a mile, that's going to cost me an extra £300 to £600. If you have to then add parking, congestion charge, and maybe the odd fine for not quite realising a 20 zone or a box junction or something, driving can get really expensive and quite stressful. But I like to just ride into London on the bike, nice relaxed pace, do all the sightseeing you want, stop for a coffee or for lunch, and the bike part of that journey and that outing is completely free. So that is good. I'm sure one day they'll be charging for cycling as well, but for now, take advantage while it's free. This is quite a nice road to cycle on if you kind of want to get out and about, but I think I'd go a different way. So if I was cycling, when I get to the end of this road, I'd probably turn right, head that way. But you'll see at the end of this road, I'm going to kind of do a left and a right because I'm heading into town. In this really cold weather, there's less people walking around. Most people are probably choosing to drive, but still a nice day. Still kind of bright skies. And although you've got to wear warm clothing, it's still a good idea to wear stuff that's quite breathable if you're going to be out for a bit. I mean, this video I think is probably about 30 something minutes, but the walk was just over 5k. It was actually 5.3k, and that was about 58 minutes. So a fairly purposeful walking speed. Not meandering. I am kind of using it as exercise. So it's not like window shopping, not that pace. Still at a pace where there's plenty of time to take in the surroundings, looking at the trees and just noticing the buses and the cars going past, just imagining what people might be doing on their way to wherever they're going or coming from or to. So again, just letting my mind wander, really, seeing where it ends up. Even wondering simple things like how long those trees have been there, how many different people have lived and passed this road or lived in those houses for the time that those trees have been there, providing oxygen for everyone. Some nice quiet roads and places to see a little bit further back, or if you turn right off of this road, there's some nice roads and leads to some nice green space as well. Again, often on the bike I'll go that way. But today we're heading for the hustle and bustle of Croydon town centre. So I started at South Croydon, and this little loop actually starts at South Croydon, then we're heading towards East Croydon, and we also, often I actually walk past West Croydon, but today I'm going to just sort of skim it and turn left before I get to it. But yeah, when I look at it on Strava, it looks like sort of Croydon Station Loop. These icy roads, quite precarious, where we had a tiny spattering of snow that's then settled and got all icy. Might be time to get my elasticated shoe spikes out of the cupboard. But these next few weeks and months could be quite icy on the roads. So be careful out there. So trams are one of those things that kind of were really quite popular back in the day and disappeared for years before coming back. And it kind of reminds me of Croydon as I knew it before the trams were there. And when I was young, growing up in Tooting, when we got to our teenage years, Croydon was a day out for us. And it was really quite something, quite a place to go. You know, it felt like central London to us back then. Whether it was shopping or going out to our first clubs, there was a lot to do in Croydon. Hopefully, it will become that desirable again. As we kind of walk through it, we'll see things that have been regenerated and things that are really crying out for some investment and regeneration. But lots of residential buildings have been springing up all over the place in Croydon. East Croydon's really, really busy. Not quite sure that the infrastructure's caught up yet. But that's another story, and this channel definitely is not going to be political. In fact, I'll talk about my thoughts on politics generally another time. But it's, in a sentence, I kind of just hate division. So I don't care too much about where people's politics lie, really. I think everybody just wants the best for themselves and their families, and maybe just have different thoughts on how to get there. So my main aim would be just to try and unify everybody, really, regardless of what your thoughts are. And if everybody could talk calmly just about individual things, individual issues, and what we think would be a good way to improve them, I think everybody would get on a lot better. So yeah, obviously some development going on here. Little tram just going past. Heading towards East Croydon, massive hub into London and out to Gatwick and Brighton. Quite handy, really, when you want to get into town or out to the airport. We're quite lucky to have all these links. In the summer this is much more busy, but still you can tell it's a busy hub. This is where I'm starting to see quite, be around people again, and just taking in the atmosphere, really. Again, just in the back of my mind, wondering where people are going to and from. It's a different kind of energy from just being on your own in the park. So that's why I like both. Different vibes for different days. People are quite busy here. I've got a few looks just holding the camera, but not as much as I thought I would. I think people are just so busy going about their own lives, they kind of just ignore you, which is, I guess, pretty much normal for London. Box Park, lots of things going on there. Haven't been there for a while, actually. Probably more of a summer thing for me anyway. Lots of places to eat in Croydon, or order a Deliveroo from, or Uber Eats. So don't want to show any favouritism to any of those delivery services. Sure, there are others as well. past Cafe Nero, and many years ago in the 90s, when I worked in South Kensington in a phone shop, the founder of Cafe Nero was one of our customers. So I remember going to the opening of the very first one in South Ken. Croydon's such an interesting place in terms of the old and the new. Kind of see some really interesting old historical buildings and some new ones and some fairly ugly ones, to be fair. I don't want to be disparaging, but I think by most people's accounts, there are some eyesores in Croydon which probably could do with being ripped down. But there are also some lovely buildings which I kind of hope will never be taken down, but I'm sure we'll have to in one of the regeneration plans that are coming up. I'm sure some of it got knocked down in Second World War. But yeah, I suppose all the big tower blocks that you can see, mixture of old and new. The new ones are obviously all residential, or mostly residential, without any parking, interestingly enough. I guess if you want to live near a station in a high-rise, can't have a car as well. So that's what I mean about sort of infrastructure maybe not quite keeping up with the building. Lots of things closed down in Croydon as well. If you do walk through it, you'll see how many buildings have sort of become unoccupied for long periods of time. And whether that's sort of people waiting for the investment to happen and bigger companies, deciding whether it's worthwhile, whether buildings have got short leases on because they're due to be demolished, who knows. But I do wonder what will change in the next few years, hopefully for the better. They've done quite a lot of work down here on revamping the roads, and they're going to remodel, I think, all the pedestrian ways of crossing, because it kind of separates two halves of Croydon, which not that many ways to get from east to west. So I think that's the plan, is to make that easier, and then if you are just shopping on foot in Croydon, it should be a lot easier in the future, or if you're just going from a restaurant to the shops. So all of this bit here is being upgraded, so I'd like to see how that finishes. And also the Whitgift Centre on the left, the car parks, they could do with some hefty investment to modernise and refresh. I did watch a video recently actually looking at how Croydon used to look, and it sort of reminded me of being a kid and coming down here with my family on the bus. I think parts of the Whitgift had no roof, but yeah, it was a really, really kind of desirable place to be. People would travel. I don't know how many people come to Croydon. If you don't live in Croydon, I don't know where you'd come from where you'd want to make Croydon a day trip anymore. Hopefully one day in the future, Croydon can regain that status. Let's see. I'm always positive about these things. You never know. So this would probably have made my halfway mark from distance, I think, from where I started to where I am now. I'll be pretty warm by this point in terms of not weather warm, but blood flowing, cardiovascular system working. A nice kind of flow, just letting my mind wander as I'm looking up at the buildings and seeing what's a relatively new build with all the glass and different kind of reflections depending on how sunny it is. When it's quite a sunny day like this, some of those buildings, the newer builds with so much glass, can look quite dramatic. And I'm just kind of looking up at them and again wondering how many people live there. What's it like to live in one, quite high up, and what's the views like from those buildings? I've been in a couple of them actually, and somewhere urgent to be. Hope they get to their destination quickly enough to help whatever they're trying to help. Some of the views, you can kind of forget where you are when you're in those buildings looking out. So I've done some work in a couple of them. That's how I know there's no parking. So some of those buildings, if you buy a flat or rent a flat, but more thinking about the owners that can't have a car, you're not even allowed to buy a street permit. So they've got no parking available, because there'd be, if everyone in those buildings had a car, there'd be no space on the streets either. So this is one of the things to kind of bear in mind when they build in kind of condensed areas, high population in a condensed area. Lots of mixtures again of old and new. I like to kind of look at the old buildings and just kind of wonder what the history was. How, again, who built that, who commissioned that building. If there's a church, who how long has it been there? I'm sure I can read about those sort of things. There's quite a few buildings I want to research actually around Croydon. That's quite a new build. Look at those birds, just flocking together. I do wonder how they manage that in nature, where instinct is so much stronger than intelligence. Kind of like a plan that works in unison. I think wildlife tend to do that much more than humans. Or if we do it, we don't notice it as much. So again, lots of things sort of look like they're half finished or half started. Getting to the busy part now. So if I come to the end of this road, if I'd have gone, before turning left onto this road, if I'd have carried on straight, the next kind of left I would have taken would have got to West Croydon, which is basically down there. So sometimes I literally walk past West Croydon station as well. So that would have made my 3. God, so many pigeons. So many pigeons. So much for don't feed the pigeons. But anyway, that is starting to look like old school Trafalgar Square again. When I was a kid, Trafalgar Square used to be full of pigeons and everyone used to feed them and take photos with them before they got considered as flying rats. But Croydon's becoming the new Trafalgar Square for that. But again, a lot of mixture of kind of half closed and little pop-up shops, which I guess get very short leases on these things, on these buildings, until things are more settled in the area and the development's begun. So you won't get big companies investing very much in places like this at the moment. So there are lots of little independent shops and pound shops, and those sort of stores that sell end of line stuff, but just looking at those buildings and kind of how individual a lot of them are. Those are the things that will probably be knocked down that I'm gonna miss. I like when I see, you know, different architects and different styles of buildings all together before, you know, everything became steel and glass. Another one, just wondering, you know, what that looked like back in the day. How many different companies have actually had the storefronts there. My GoPro died, so at some point I had to switch to my iPhone, and I probably missed the chunk in the middle, but I just wanted to sort of carry on a bit as I was walking down and looking at the difference between old and new buildings. I have ordered a new GoPro, bit of a treat, but my old one was a 8. I think we're now on the 13. So treated myself, so I'm waiting for that to arrive. So hopefully the battery will be a lot better. But anyway, I'll probably wrap this up soon. I think I didn't walk too far with the iPhone. And it was cold. I didn't really want my hand holding the phone because I couldn't use it with the gloves on, whereas the GoPro had a handle, which was fine. Once it had started, I just held the handle, but the phone I couldn't do much with the gloves on. Have a look at some old buildings. Been around for a while. Different businesses underneath. Come and go, but those solid old brick buildings remain. Just the differences between them, fascinating, all butted up together. There'll be times in history where they weren't all there at the same time. Different architects have come in and put their stamp on history. Surrey Street Market there on the right. I walked down there the other day on one of my other videos. But there are lots of places to buy fruit and veg and some hot foods. Quite interesting place to be.